Hello, everyone. Could anyone from the audience kindly confirm whether my voice is audible?
Yes, it's odd.
Thank you. All right. Welcome to the pop-up course on ethics in engineering practice, session 3. Today's session will be the final session for this course. Let us get started. Well, let's start with a very famous metaphor, which was given by Garrett Hardin, which is known as the tragedy of the commons. It basically says that whatever or maybe material or anything which we possess in unlimited supply, we often tend to ignore them. We often don't pay much attention towards them because until unless we own something, we don't give that much priority to them. We don't think about them at least. For example, if it is if it is your own belongings, you would take probably much more care than something that doesn't belong to you and is in unlimited supply. For example, the air around us, the water, etc. All these things are in unlimited supply, although each and every one of us own it. But we often tend to be thoughtless about these things which we do not own individually. Now, why are we talking about all these things is because engineers play a crucial role in environment as well. Engineers must not only contribute to the welfare of the public, but also must take care of the impact the certain project contributes towards environment. You all would have heard about IEEE. It's Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. IEEE Code of Ethics begins with the following statement: to hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public, to strive to comply with ethical design and sustainable development practices, and to disclose promptly factors that might endanger the public or environment. Here again, it stresses on the fact that engineers must comply with ethical design and sustainable development practices so that it doesn't put the environment at risk. Now, it's not just electrical and electronics societies. We also have lots of other societies. For example, ASCE, American Society of Civil Engineers, ASME, American Society of Mechanical Engineers. We have a lot of other societies too. That's it. The next slide. Well, there are two types of people which are needed for sustainable development. Well, the first category are those who are environmentally conscious citizens, and the second ones are environmental leaders. We need both the types of people. Now, who are environmentally conscious citizens? Environmentally conscious citizens are those people who know what they're supposed to do and who live in such a way that their actions make minimal impact on the environment. Basically, their actions are always well thought of and they always take care that their actions do not endanger the environment. Whereas, who are environmental leaders? These are also environmentally conscious citizens, but they have a voice of themselves. They always try to promote the concept of sustainable development and they always promote recycling and etc. They always are environmental friendly and they have a voice which is always used to inspire a lot of people. Both the types of people are equally important for the development of any nation in terms of environment. Now, there are some environmental laws which are made in India, especially for the companies which deal with uh, pollution. For example, if I have a chemical plant, they often dump the wastes in the water without even doing the preliminary or tertiary cleaning of it. We have the following laws in our country as well. One is the National Environmental Policy Act, Occupational Safety and Health Act, Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, and Toxic Substances Control Act. Basically, if you students are in first years, you will study about all of these acts probably in your second year environmental technology. There's a subject known as environmental technology. You'll study about what are all these acts and what is it, and primarily what is the focus of this act, who all come under these acts. Now, changing the way costing is done. So throughout this session, we have discussed about lots of project and its ethical aspects, etc. But basically, whenever a project is being made, whenever there's a thought of a project, generally the first thing which comes into consideration is the budget. Now, what all does the budget involve? Basically, we'll only consider things like labor, raw materials, and what else are required to promote and facilitate the project. But are these the only thing which are supposed to be included in costing? No. We must see what effect does it have on pollution. We have to see whether their disposal also is a matter of concern, since all these things would help in achieving a more sustainable orientation. Let's get to the next case study. This case study is again a famous case study. Yesterday's case study had got a lot of wondrous, very good response, and I have thought that instead of having similar case studies, let's have all wide amount of case studies which tend to make the audience think in various directions. What is this case study about? The Pirate Bay file sharing case. A recent file sharing case saw the four men who founded the Pirate Bay, a torrent tracking website, found guilty of assisting making available of copyrighted material. The case totally involved four of them. So these are the four people over here. So basically, these four people made a website known as the Pirate Bay. So the first three of them ran the website, and the fourth person had helped in financing, that is, funding all the necessities to continue the website. Charges were brought in 2008, and the trial was held in winter and spring 2009. The four are charged with accessory and conspiracy to break the copyright law. Well, we had discussed about what is copyright and what are all the trends and what are the rights of the owners of copyrights, etc. Now, although their website did not host the copyrighted material, it allowed users to download copyrighted software, that is maybe music, movies, and computer games, etc., without paying for it. The trial has received unprecedented coverage in Sweden. Pirate Bay supporters have come out in force. The Pirate Bay set up a blog about the trial in which the accused made light of the claims for compensation and damages amounting to about 120 million kroner, that is approximately 14.3 million, saying that they have no money to pay for the damages. In addition to the fines, they were also sentenced to 1 year in jail. Even the Supreme Court declined to hear their plea to find them not guilty. Later, their jail term was reduced due to the tremendous support and appeal to the public, but had to pay a heavy fine. So basically, what is this case about is these three people had made a website. The website's name was the Pirate Bay. The first three ran the website, and the fourth person helped in financing it. Now, what happened is their website did not directly host any other material, but it allowed users to download the copyrighted material without paying for it. I think as engineering students, we often have witnessed a lot of websites and a lot of softwares. I think we all ourselves are also in one way or the other guilty of downloading softwares without paying for them. I mean, a lot of people do it nowadays, but these people were the ones who facilitated it by making a website. Although they directly did not show that, yeah, we are hosting all these things, but they provided some downloading option through which they could, all the users who logged into the website could download it. So basically, what's happening over here is if I have a software, if I made the software and I own the copyright of it, until and unless I give the permission for anybody else, they cannot use it on their behalf. They cannot sell it out wide and they cannot, make profit out of it. Over here, although these Pirate Bay runners were not making profit out of it, they facilitated lot of people in Sweden to download stuff without paying for it. I mean, it wasn't even their stuff before they could even provide for downloading. So that's what happened, and this case was challenged in the High Court initially, and they even sentenced them to 1 year in jail, and they put so much of fine because millions of people have already used the website and downloaded this software. So what happened in this? The guy who actually made the software, who owned the copyright, could not reap the benefits of his intellectual production. This was the plea. So engineers, see these four people were engineers, software engineers, who were technically sound, but since they facilitated these unethical practices, finally they had to pay the charge. This is what I say. Copyright, intellectual property rights, these are all very important things. Before we try to do anything with them, we must make sure that we check each and every parameter, whether we are not coming and we are not going against the law, because if found guilty, it could be very costly for the individual or any organization at large. Now, let us discuss what is conscientiousness. It calls for the engineers to exercise a full range of moral values and responsibilities in any given situation. Please note this. In any given situation, engineers must exercise a full range of moral values and responsibilities irrespective of what others think. I'll explain what this exactly is with respect to this slide. Well, it is a comfortable illusion that working for an employer and performing acts to serve the company's interests relieves one from being morally and personally responsible for immoral actions. But nothing like that actually exists. What I mean to say over here is, see, an engineer, suppose there's something unethical going on, and an engineer who is working for a company simply cannot say that, oh my god, it's, even though it is unethical, I cannot do anything. It's the company who has given me so much of money. It is the company who is giving me bread and butter. See, this is a comfortable illusion. We must never think in this direction, because we are not supposed to be loyal to the company, but we are supposed to be loyal to the public at large. Please remember this statement. Engineering is, see, people think that IAS, IPS, all these are the only ones which provide service to the public. No. Each and every profession provides its own level of service to the public. And adding to that, engineers play a crucial role in providing service to the public in their own way. So finally, if a company is having some policies which are objectionable, or if there's something unethical going on, engineers must use their all means to try to prevent it. They must not think that I must be loyal to the company, what will happen? They are giving me money, etc. No, that doesn't work. You simply cannot ignore the fact that you as an engineer are accountable towards the public finally. As I said, responsible people accept moral responsibility of their actions, and engineers should be ready to submit their actions to moral scrutiny and be open to assessment from others. All right. Let us discuss the last and the final case study of this course. What is the case study about? publicly criticizing a project as unsafe. Guys, I would like all of your ears, irrespective of whatever you're doing, please concentrate on this case study. As see, this case study doesn't show any incompetency of an engineer. We're not trying to blame the engineer over here in any way, but still, finally, it's the engineer who has taken a lot of damage. Let's see what the case study is about. Garcia, a renowned structural engineer, is hired for a nominal sum by a large city newspaper to visit a site of a state bridge construction project. So this Garcia is an engineer, she's a structural engineer, and she was hired by some newspaper agency to visit a bridge which was being constructed by the state. It was still under construction. Now, this project had been plagued by construction delays, cost increases, and litigation, primarily because of several well publicized on site accidents. So, basically, what happened was this project had a lot of construction delays, cost increases, and litigations, primarily because there were a lot of rumors of accidents which was going on, etc. That means there were a lot of unethical things going on at this site. Now, Garcia visits the bridge and performs the one-day visual inspection. In very general terms, her report identifies potential problems and proposes additional testing and other solutions. In a series of feature articles based on Garcia's report, that city newspaper alleges that the bridge has major safety problems that will jeopardize its completion date. So, what did Garcia do over here? She went to the site, she inspected the bridge for one day, and she made a report identifying all the potential problems, and she listed each and every problem and the possible solutions for it. She hasn't done anything more than that. She made a very detailed report and submitted it to the city newspaper. But what happened after that? Allegations of misconduct and incompetence are made against the project engineers, the contractors, and the state highway department. The state holds an investigation in which Garcia states that her report only identified potential problems with respect to safety of the bridge and was not intended to be conclusive. What happened over here is those newspaper agency guys, they took this report and they blowed the whistle so loudly that it shook the entire state highway department. Guys, listen what's happening over here. This lady, who's an engineer, made a report citing all the problems and solutions and had given it to the newspaper agency. But the newspaper agency, without even thinking twice, without even going to the government and submitting the report, without even satisfying all the categories for whistleblowing, directly blowed the whistle. And this costed a lot for Garcia. She was criticized to the maximum extent possible by the state. She was taken in for an investigation. Although she was finally let out, but she had to face a lot of criticism by the government. So, what is your ethical evaluation of Garcia's agreement with the newspaper? See, in the light of this experience, what safeguards might an engineer seek as a condition of accepting an assignment like Garcia's? Now, there's nothing that this lady has done wrong. See, she has a right to earn salary and she accepted to take this project for inspection. And the large city newspaper also provided some amount of money to this lady. She inspected, she made a report, and she submitted it to the newspaper agency. See, if you think in one direction, everything is fine. There's nothing unethical that Garcia has done. But the problem, what happened over here is, even though the engineer did not do anything unethical, the city newspaper used her name. They cited her name as the proof of this report and blowed the whistle on a massive scale. The entire state, I mean, the public was outrageous by this incident. See, the newspaper agency was supposed to first at least go to the government and try to do its checks with them. Until unless they do this, they cannot blow the whistle. It's totally unethical to blow the whistle without checking all the four parameters which we have discussed yesterday. See, yesterday we discussed four parameters: need, proximity, it must be the last resort, and there must be some amount of success rate. But no, they haven't done any of these things. First of all, there was no need to openly criticize like that. In that too, it's a newspaper media. There will be crores of people watching the TV daily. So, do you know what impact it would have on people's lives if such kind of news is leaked out without even confirming with the state government? That's what happened. So Garcia was supposed, at least she should have known the intention of her customer. If at all she could have asked the purpose of this. See, basically she hasn't done anything wrong, but she should have made sure that these people would use her report in a proper fashion. Again, it is an ingenious responsibility to take all the possible measures and safeguard themselves as a condition of accepting an assignment given by anybody else. Just because they're giving money doesn't mean that engineers can go anywhere and do anything as per the wish of the vendor. No, engineers must also do a background check. Why is this person coming before me? What is his intention? What will he do with my report? All these are equally important to get to know, and only then can anything be done. I hope these two case studies have provided another. Of course, it's not an emotional angle or dimension, but these dimensions are also equally important in an engineer's life. Well, let's come to the topic of research and its ethical aspects. Why is research important in this field? Is because engineers are not the only ones who inspect and manage the plant, but often they must keep researching and they must make sure that the product is how their product can be made better, better, better. In order to do this, engineers most of the times do research. But finally, while making the document, there are a lot of things which happen. Let us see what is research misconduct, breaking the trust. See, research misconduct is nothing but fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism in proposing, performing, or reviewing or in reporting research results. Now, what is fabrication? Fabrication is nothing but cooking up of data, meaning you yourself are adding useless data which was not even surveyed or verified. That means you are adding the data yourself without any proof just to finish the research project. Falsification, meaning although you have contributed some legitimate part of the report, but just to suit the report to your personal flavor and taste, you have manipulated some small parts. You have done some, there were some places where you had to omit, and where some places you had to edit or introduce some new stuff. This is known as falsification. And plagiarism is, in simple words, copying from elsewhere. Now, research misconduct is declared only if all these three conditions are satisfied, which are: first of all, there must be a significant amount of departure from the accepted practices. Second, it should be committed intentionally. Third, allegation must be proven with evidence. See, until unless you are caught, there's no research misconduct. But once you are caught, it must be, see, you should have done it intentionally, or else it won't come under research misconduct. Again, we'll get to know that honest errors and difference of opinions do not qualify under research misconduct. Well, if any of the above conditions do not satisfy, it does not qualify for research misconduct. Again, there's again a cap for plagiarism. The general accepted amount of plagiarism which is possible is around 18%, but it varies in a lot of places, 18% to 20%. Some places only accept 13%. It varies, but the general accepted practice is 18%. Cooking of data. That means selecting favorable data points only. So one must always make sure that they don't do any sort of things like these in order to be caught. And it also, in a way, undermines the profession of engineering and research itself. Replication. Repeating an experiment without giving due credit. Again, if you are caught doing so, you might even have to pay a heavy penalty. As I said, honest errors and difference of opinion do not come under research misconduct. See, these are very important. Research misconduct. Research is something that happens in every domain, irrespective whether it's maybe a manufacturing industry of smartphones, or maybe it's a food industry. See, every industry needs engineers in some or the other way. We'll get to know soon how. Anyways, when does a research misconduct qualify as a fraud? When a false representation is made. When the perpetrator knows that the misrepresentation is false and recklessly disregards it. And when it is done with the intention to deceive others. See, basically, research is not only done to improve stuff, but sometimes research is often used as a parameter to advertise also. Lot of advertisements are made on basis of some or the other research which was conducted initially. But if that research was done to deceive others, then it definitely qualifies as a fraud. This is just for your information. Although it's a very broad topic, this is just just to throw some light on what is research misconduct, etc. Again, what are the plausible factors or reasons that undermine research integrity? One is cutbacks in research funding. Yeah, of course, if there is no proper funding, how can anybody perform research properly? That's one of the things. Second, pressure to perform from research supervisors. That means the research supervisors would just set a deadline and you must finish it within the deadline, and there's a lot of pressure. This often leads to cutting corners from engineers' side. Shortage of jobs, lack of opportunities forces researchers to cut corners. This is again a hot topic to discuss. We'll get to it later. Lack of faculty supervisors and low guide to scholar ratio. Falsification of result in desire of major financial gains. Guys, see, these things are very important because a lot of times falsification of results are made in desire to get some financial gains. Maybe in their advertising or in any other domain, they always falsify stuff. I mean, of course, we don't know the truth, but still, we always fall for their traps, and they are the ones who finally, make the gains. And whenever there's a need for articles for promotion, as I said, advertisements, and pressure from collaborators. So these are the things which can undermine research integrity. Yeah. Now, credit for research contribution can be done in three ways. One is by authorship. Now, what is authorship? By making someone a part of the authors depending upon the contribution made by them. Again, there are a lot of types of authors also, which we'll get to it in few minutes. By citation. Citation means by using someone's previously published paper, meaning you will be saying that, yes, sir, I have used your paper to conduct my research work. So this is known as citation. And the third thing is via a written acknowledgement. It's just like you write it on a paper and give it to them, um, just as a written acknowledgement. These are the three ways in which credit for research can be given to any individual or organization. What are the qualifications for authorship? Now, there are two conditions which must be met. One is the person must have made significant amount of contribution with respect to research design or some theory development or development of some prototype or some analysis, etc. Some significant contribution must have been made by that person. Second thing, the person must have reviewed or approved the final manuscript. The final manuscript is nothing but the final document. See, be very careful. Authorship provides lot of privilege to the person, but it makes a person accountable for the entire report. It's very risky to take authorship at the same time until unless specific statements are made with respect to contribution by them. So until unless you specify that you have been only done, I suppose there are 5 things which are there in the document, and you only contributed in 1 or 2 of these things. Until unless you specify what you have done, you are equally responsible for the entire report. Next, there are 4 categories of authors. One is lead author, submitting author, corresponding author, senior author. If I'm not wrong, you all would be using your textbooks in your engineering. At least I hope you are using some textbooks. You will often see there is never one single author. For example, the story of my life was written by Helen Keller. But if you see any engineering textbook, it will have so many authors. Now, what do you think? See, not each and every author will be the lead author. Let me just tell you, there are 4 types of authors. Again, lead author. Who is lead author? He or she is responsible fundamentally for the entire report. Meaning, he is responsible for the entire report. Next. And he or she is the one who has made most intellectual contribution for the work and bears responsibility for the entire report, even if others' contribution is there in it or not. Even if someone else had done the contribution or not, you are responsible for the entire report. Submitting author. He is the one who submits the final manuscript, which goes for printing, etc. So basically, what he does is he is like the only point of correspondence, and he owns a special responsibility to see that all authors have fulfilled the criteria for authorship. So the submitting author is responsible. Is like a he is like a a final check. He will do the final checks whether all the authors have contributed equally and whether everything is ethical or not. Next, corresponding author. Who is this corresponding author? Now, see, the one whom interested people can contact for the work. So basically, he receives all the calls or emails, etc. And also, he often orders for reprints of the article, etc. Now, corresponding author is a very big word, so we use co-author also. Next, senior author. This is used very rarely, but senior author is someone who is basically, the senior most author who has made a significant contribution again. But it depends. There's no clear difference between a senior author and a lead author generally. It's an ambiguous term, but just for your information. Now, determination of order of authors. So basically, if you see any book, right, the first person whose name will be written is the lead author, and the name which appears in the last will be the person who has made the least contribution. Most of the times, it's the submitting author. But yeah. Consulting engineers. Who are they? See, the difference between consulting engineers and any other engineers working in a company is that consulting engineers work in private practices, but they don't work for any one specified company like others. They are usually compensated by fees for the services they render and not in form of salaries. What does this mean? Suppose a company wants to hire consulting engineers. They sign a contract with them for maybe three months or 5 to 6 months of time, and they are rendered by fees. Just make sure that you don't get confused with fees and salary. Salary is something that is received every month into their pockets, but fees is rendered only for the amount of time they have rendered their services. Again, consulting engineers need not just be in one company. They can, they can go from anywhere to anywhere. They can work in government, they can work in private. They always keep changing their roles and responsibilities as an engineer. Now they have greater freedom to make decisions as they aren't salaried employees. Now see, engineers are not the only ones who make products, but they're also in a lot of other things. They use their technical expertise to advertise also. uh, there are a lot of health apps recently. A lot of engineers work as consulting engineers over there who promote the to aware, to make people aware of this app and all, right? Whenever you call the customer support and all, these are the ones whoever pick up, right? These are known as consulting engineers. So they know how to talk their way, and they know the what all are the technical aspects of that particular service they are rendering. And they also work in contingencies. And oh yeah, very important thing, consulting engineers can sit in competitive bidding, but not normal engineers who are working for a specific company. And they also are used for resolution of disputes. There are not enough examples for resolution of disputes, but yeah, it's just for your information. We are almost coming close to the session. Ethical subjectivism. It just states that, see, if I'm doing some action, right, whether it is right or wrong is determined by whether I believe the act is right or wrong. As simple as it is. That is known as ethical subjectivism. Now, now there are two things which engineers basically do. One is intuition and ethical justification. Well, intuition basically means that in they can the person can immediately get to know what is happening at the particular site or situation just because of his previous experience and training. Whereas ethical justification means that the person is probably using all sorts of reasons and putting evidence and arguments, and this supports his justification. Finally, leaders and managers. See, engineers today take role as leaders or managers. See, these two are very important things. We're not trying to say that leaders are better, managers are not, but we're trying to say, look at what is the difference between managers and leaders, and what is their roles and responsibilities, and what are the differences between them. Let's see. Leaders are primarily responsible for establishing mission by creating a vision for future. Whereas managers are responsible for implementing the mission. Very important. Leaders create the mission, and managers implement the mission. So these are the two. I mean, you can basically analyze the difference with the first two statements itself. Now, managers' job is to administer, whereas leaders' job is to innovate. Managers generally ask how, whereas leaders ask what and why. See, the managers, what they do is, if if something has to go on in this way, they always try to keep it that way. They always accept the status quo. Status quo means whatever is happening, let it happen like that. There should be no changes in this particular work which is going on. Whereas leaders always tend to change stuff. They always challenge the status quo. Well, these are just a view on how managers work and how leaders work. We're not trying to again say that managers are not good or leaders are very good. We're trying to say that look at the differences between managers and leaders, and these two people play a very important role in any organization and its upbuilding. With this, there are various types of leadership. You can go through them. It's basically depending upon how the leader is, basically what is the style of leadership. And we're not trying to promote any sort of leadership, but we're just trying to say these are the types of leadership, and interested students can always search for it in online or any open source. Because we're not having enough time, I'm not covering all these things because it will make the session rather very big and boring. Now, to conclude with the session, there are two things. One is personal or individual ethics, and second is professional ethics. Individual ethics involves with honesty, fairness, integrity, etc. These are very important for individual ethics, which is personal ethics. Whereas professional ethics deals with competence, ensuring quality, environment protection, promoting sustainability, ensuring safety, and the biggest point is public welfare. The the profession of engineering is no less than any IPS or IAS, etc. Every profession serves the public. So don't feel that engineering, what can I do? I won't be able to serve anybody. Don't feel like that. Engineering too provides a great service to the nation and the people at large. With this, I want to say that as of now, most of you are first years and second years. Right now, we are over here in between a pandemic, 2021, and soon by 2023, 2024, all of us will graduate from the college. Some of us will take our higher studies, whereas some of us may just get into practice, engineering practice. Maybe we join a company, etc. But there's a long life to go, and I hope this session has served as means to make you aware and conscious of what is ethics in engineering practices. Today's session was very small, and I hope it's compact enough. And there's a lot, there's a lot of life to see, at least as of now. And we'll all be going to lot of greater heights. But make sure that at every point of life you keep the profession's standards high. That means ethics should never be forgotten, and always be conscious of what is ethics, and always stand for it. And also, I would like to request each and every audience over here to be aware of something known as NPTEL. There's something known as NPTEL, an open source provided by the government, and it also has a course which is Ethics in Engineering Practice. I have taken most of the part from this course, but there are a lot more. It's an 8-week course. Whatever I have given to you is not even 1 week enough material. It's an 8-week course. I myself have gone through it, and most of the knowledge which I have acquired and delivered to all of you in the session is because of this course and because of this professor, Sushmita Mukhopadhyay madam. And I request each and every audience, if at all you're interested to learn further, and see, it's an examination. There's an examination also. Make sure that you register for this course and take part in the examination, because see, the certificate which you get over here, right? It's not important, but the very fact that you have taken part in this course is very, very plus point for any aspect, maybe a placement, etc. Your technical certificates may not get you anywhere, but a certificate in this will definitely instill confidence in the placement, in the placement facilitation. And with this, I would like to thank each and every one of you for attending the pop-up course on ethics in engineering practices. And Thanks a lot for continuing for 3 days consistently. I hope this session has all the 3 sessions have been as a means of what is ethics in engineering practice, why is it important, and hope we all may be going, within few years we may go be in the same company, not be in the same profession, but wherever we are, it's a very busy world, as I said. A lot of things always tend to be overlooked and neglected. I hope all of you would try to be epitomes of ethics in the world ahead. With this, I would like to thank each and every one of you for attending this course and would like to end this session. Just a minute. This feed used for marking your attendance, and this is for all the 3 days collectively. There's a short quiz. Please take this up and see. Although the audience are around 15, I hope each and every one of you will be successfully utilizing ethics in your real life. Thank you again, and have a good day and an ethical life ahead.